Well, happy Friday, boys and girls. It's Casual Friday here at Highbury Squad HQ. We've made it to the end of another week, and boy, do we have a very special edition of Kevin Says lined up for you today. Here we go, people. Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to the Highbury Squad. It's Friday. Happy Friday to everyone. The weekend is ahead of us. And do we have some YouTube royalty here this evening? Podcast royalty in the house. My brother from another mother, Mr. Dan Potts. Potsy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Soph. It's always good to be on Highbury Squad, and I'm enjoying tonight. Do you know what? I've had a little bit of a break, to be honest with you, with the old football season stopping, and I don't know. I think it's good therapy, but sometimes I miss it, when you don't chat to people like your kind self. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, mate.
All right, well, good. I'm glad you're happy to be on deck. And standing in front of the judge and jury is the judge himself, Mr. Lee Judges. Welcome to the big show. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you very much. I've got my gravel. Anyone misbehaves today, never getting this bang on the head. So, there you go.
Oh gosh!
Still, under pressure, replacing the legend that is Mr. Campbell, So I've got a story to tell about him, if you want. So whenever you want. So
I would love that. Definitely love that. I did want to start the show. And it's been a bit of a difficult last day for quite a few people in the Arsenal family. And I just wanted to do this. Kev isn't here, unfortunately, this evening. But he is here in spirit. And you guys will see why the show is a little bit different tonight. Alan Miller passed away, and he was Kevin's teammate. And you can see from this photograph, this was the FA Cup winning, the FA youth team that won the FA Cup. David Hillier in this picture, Kev, Alan Miller, of course. And I just thought, it would be right to start off the show. Here's Alan on Kev's shoulders. This is one of my favorite pictures ever. And we've used this a lot in terms of when we've talked about a trip down memory lane and some of the great memories of Arsenal. And I just wanted to bring you in on this one, Lee. We've seen a lot of the Arsenal family tweet out, a lot of the players, and wanted to get your take. I don't know if you ever had the pleasure of meeting Alan as well, but our condolences go out to his family, his friends, and of course his teammates. Yeah,
tragic. I was really absolutely devastated by the news yesterday because obviously, I think it's home when it's somebody younger than you as well. Do you know what I mean? So, had the pleasure of meeting them all a couple of years ago when it was the anniversary of the that youth team winning the cup, and they all had a meet up at the Emirates for the day, and they was all on the pitch at half time and that, and Kevin being Kevin brought them all down to the pub for the after the game, and obviously Alan was there, but he had to shoot off, so he was only there for 20 minutes, but still made the effort to come down the pub and before shooting off. So, I spoke to Kevin yesterday. He's obviously in shock and upset by what's happened, because you don't expect it at this sort of age, and listen, Alan picked up a few medals, along the way, and not just the FA Youth Cup, FA Cup, and League Cup, and being a backup goalkeeper to David Seaman, and probably would have got a lot more Arsenal caps if it wasn't, or appearances, should I say, if it weren't for the goalie himself, David Seaman. But he had a brilliant career, and I know Kevin was speaking to him last week, and he was fine and everything like that. So just a big shock, isn't it? And one of us, of the families, Arsenal family, is passed, and it's
a tough one, isn't it, Lee? It's a tough one. You could see from all the messages from Lee Dixon and Seaman and Kev and Wrighty and everyone, and David Hillier's message too. Really sad stuff. And Kev and I were talking last night too, and he said, tomorrow's never guaranteed. Live today as though it was your last. And a little message to all the squaddies in chat tonight as well. Like, be happy, live your life, because you never, ever know what's around the corner. And Dan, even for, you know, some younger fans who may not know Alan, it just shows you, like, when someone has an impact on a team, their teammates, it really is kind of really profound, isn't it, when something like this happens and you realize that everyone can put like their differences aside to come together and recognize that losing someone so young is always so tragic.
It is, and I think the best thing to kind of sum this up, Sophie, and it might be strange me saying this, and it might be wrong, but I'll say it anyway, is when somebody passes, the first thing everybody says is, oh, such a nice man. Everyone's a nice man. It doesn't matter whether they've been done 35 years in prison or whether they've done amazing 35 years of volunteering for charities. They're always a nice person when they pass away. But when I hear the kind of messages from players about how nice Alan was, it kind of gets to a stage where you think, why would they be saying that with such passion if it wasn't true? I heard Perry Groves on Talk Sport. I spoke to Kevin. I've spoke to other people that even knew of him or played with him. Absolute gentleman, like top gentleman. I listened to Perry Groves' story about, you know, how he treated the family, his family, and how they absolutely loved him. And they all said, I don't think I've met a nicer bloke than him. He was absolutely amazing. And that goes far for me when you hear that, because a lot of people will say, won't they, oh, such a gentleman, such a shame. Of course it is. Everybody passing away is absolutely horrendous news. But it does seem even more tragic, I suppose, when you look at the age and the fitness, you know, because apparently kept himself well, kept himself healthy. It makes you look at your sort of lifestyle. And at the moment, I'm certainly not in a position where I'm as fit as I used to be. And it does make you think, you know, about your kind of time. You only get once to live it. And when something like this happens, it really does make you stop and think and realize the important things in life, because over the last 18 months, everybody has kind of been doing that. When something like this happens, it's even more so. So very sad news indeed.
Yeah. Thank you guys for that. And yes, life is not a dress rehearsal. Live it as though you're on stage and just keep going. So our thoughts and condolences go to Alan's family and, of course, everyone who knew him and loved him. And here's the scoop. When I spoke to Kev last night, you know, the other thing too is he has this incredible attitude, and he galvanizes me every single day. He inspires me every single day. And I know you guys feel the same, because life does go on. And I think, you know, from what he's saying, even Alan would want us to continue talking about football, to get stuck into the nuts and bolts of football and to just keep going. And I think that's the beauty of it as well, is, you know, athletes are built differently as well, aren't they, guys? I know, Lee, you've played and you've been in that situation, and I know we see it from a different perspective too, but the mind of an athlete is just completely different. It's like, you know, it's reboot and rejuvenate, and then you just keep moving on. So that's what we're going to do this evening. We're going to keep talking about the beautiful game, and we're going to recognize those that we love and that we lose along the way. So good evening, squaddies, and thanks to Lee and Dan for joining us this evening. We appreciate every single one of you being in the house with us tonight. It's Kevin Says with a twist and a little bit of a difference. So here's the squaddies know we're going to play Kev's 3 questions. But tonight, it's Lee and Dan answering the questions first. And, of course, you guys in chat as well. And then I even have Kev, who summarizes it at the end. I've got a little video of him doing that too. So here we go. Here's Kevin Says, can you believe we've done 30 of these this season? Here's part 1. Question 1 from the legend himself.
Hi, everyone. This is Kev Says, number 30, part 30. And it's a quick 3 for a little bit of a different show. So let's get straight down to it. Number 1, the Arsenal haven't made any moves just yet. Do we need to get a move on in the transfer market? That's question 1.
Do we need to get a move on in the transfer market? I think it's hilarious how we're being linked with every single player. It's like you've seen the movie before, you've seen the sequel, you know the ending, you've worn the T-shirt, drank from the mug, and you know what's going to happen. Dan, I'm going to start off with you on this one. Why don't you kick this one off for me, and then we'll get some of the squaddy questions up for you guys as well.
Well, this one's easy for me because over the last, let's say, 15, 20 years, the best manager by far doing their business early was Sir Alex Ferguson. And he made sure that everybody at pre-season was fit and ready. And they were ready to start pre-season with the squad that he knew he was going to have available to him going into the season. Now we've moved past that era. I don't really see Arsenal have ever done that under Arsene Wenger, and we certainly haven't done it over the managers after him either. I think it's time that we see some change. And my only positive, and everybody on here will know, and other podcasts will know, I haven't got many positives at all to say about this regime and to say about this manager. But the one positive I've always given Mikel Arteta and Edu is that they have definitely got more right than wrong in terms of their transfers in. So I feel that just as well as the transfers out, removing the culture, some of the deadwood, some of the players on big wages has been positive. So have the players that have come in. And some people might say that they've got some right, they've got some wrong. I would agree with that. I think the Willian situation was a disaster. I don't know why we got Ceballos back. Personally, I think Runnison was a shocker. But when you look at what we have got right, maybe Pablo Mari and Gabriel were quite underrated as signings this season. I understood the Cedric deal, albeit not really a massive fan of him, but I think we needed an option there. I think Ødegaard has improved the side and was an option we needed at the start of the season, not just January. And I think Matt Ryan is a better goalkeeping cover than Runnison. So I start to look at those signings and think maybe in this new regime, we're starting to see some better quality. If the rumours are true, and you're right, Soph, we're linked with everybody. If the rumours are true about Buendia, if the rumours are true about Bissouma, they're two signings that don't excite me, but they're two signings that would certainly be an upgrade. And if the rumours are true about a bid going in for Buendia and Bissouma pretty much saying, I'm a Gooner, I love Vieira, I love to play for Arsenal, then it looks like those two are probably situations that we could get tied up with in the next days, week, maybe week and a half. So I would love to see us go in now because we need to give us something after a real poor season to give us a lift. Now, the lift for me would be, and people have said it in the chat, and I've got stick for saying it, Jack Grealish, right? Everyone says, why would he want to leave Aston Villa to go to Arsenal? Maybe he wouldn't. But I can tell you now, if we try and have the ambition to go for somebody like Jack Grealish, that will lift the fan base up to here because it's a signing that will lift us forward just like Bruno Fernandes did for Manchester United. And it's a signing that I would love to see happen. Is it unrealistic? Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe Buendia is a more realistic option. Maybe Bissouma is a more realistic option. But I look at that for transfer window upcoming thinking there's a lot to do. We got to start doing it now because otherwise you are not going to get that amount of players out and the players that we need in the time before that window slams shut. I don't personally feel like we're going to see any major star signings this summer. I think we're going to see more signings that would upgrade us as opposed to take us to a title-winning side. So I'm not expecting Jack Grealish or Raheem Sterling, who I heard yesterday, to come to Arsenal. I'm just not. I'd love to see it. I think the Cronkies need to do something like that to prove that they care. I just don't see it. I think Buendia, Bissouma, the right back from Lille, those sort of options are more realistic going forward.
Yeah.
So, yes, the answer to the question, 100% we need to get a move on.
Yeah. And Lee, one of the reasons we do have to get a move on is because the Euros will increase the price of players.
100%.
And that is a great point from Raul. We talked about it on the show with Kev last night. Jack Grealish could end up being, it might be 80 million now. After the Euros, he could be a 120 million pound player. I mean, these are just facts. What's your take on it, Lee, in terms of the timing of the business?
Yeah, well, I think Kevin's having a laugh. He's winding us up. I think, listen, I'll tell you what, the transfer window is like watching your favourite film or one of your favourite films, Grease. You watch it, you know exactly what happens and everything like that.
You're talking about Grease with John Travolta?
John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, shaking their old booties and all that like, and we all know the songs hot off by heart. We know what's coming. We know the car's going to fly off at the end, which is silly, but we all know it's coming. Right? And we're all hoping that the summer is going to bring another Grease. And along comes Grease 2, and that is exactly what absolute massive letdown. You know, it was rubbish compared to the first one, like, you know. And that is what
Maxwell Caulfield and Michelle Pfeiffer. It was pretty bad, wasn't it, Lee?
Yeah. And that is what our transfer windows are like. We all this expectation, and it all goes to pot. Pardon the expression, Dan, but that's what does happen, like, you know. And we're unbelievably, we're still waiting for Greece 3. It's as simple as that now, like, you know. We're just still hanging on, hoping that
It's a great analogy. It's a great analogy. I tell you,
we get let down every year. We get let down every year. So I'm waiting for it to happen. I'm waiting for it to happen.
Judges wants a bit of greenish lightning, don't you, mate? Bit of greenish lightning.
He wants to be a gooner. I keep hearing that song, like, you know what I mean? Basuma. He wants to be a gooner. But we don't know, do we, like, you know? And this is the problems. And this is the problems of Arsenal. Do you know what I'm going to do? I am just going to enjoy the Euros. I am going to enjoy my tennis and my cricket. And what will be, will be. And if Arsenal do not make the signings, then we know exactly what the owners are, and also Mikel Arteta, because I'll tell you this now, if Mikel Arteta doesn't get backed, Grealish lightning, I like that one, that's quality. If
He's
we
nicked it off.
Ryan nicked it, yeah.
If we do not get the signings that we need, then Mikel Arteta is a sack waiting to happen. So he might as well quit with his head held high and say, right, that's the end of it, like, you know. So I don't know. Jack Grealish, I think, is not unrealistic. I still feel that there's something in that. We'd have to sell to buy. I could make a film about that as well, couldn't we? Like, you know what I mean? We have to sell to buy. We'll sell all our players in Asda, and we'll get them from Lidl's. That's what we're simply doing. Like, you know? So we just have to wait and see. Suck it and see, as they say. Suck it and see.
I have to clip that, Dan, because that might be the best few minutes of the season.
Great analogy.
Who'd have thought Lee Judges would come out with Grease and then Grease 2, which was a garbage movie, 100%, but then go a little bit further and say we're yet to see Grease 3 and what that sequel could look like. And then you top it off with Grealish lightning. I think I dropped the mic last night, but I think we might be ready to finish the show right here and now. Oh my God, that is absolutely brilliant.
Got a fork in it, we're done.
Stick a fork in you, you are done, Mr. Judges. Unbelievable. The judge says, that's it. We have a result on the case.
We can have an early night, gentlemen.
I like the Basuma song, by the way. I've not heard that one.
I'll make it up myself. Come on.
Give us it again. Give us it again.
Well, what it'll be was when he becomes a gooner, but it's Basuma. He wants to be a gooner. I
like it. I've heard the goalkeeping one. You know, we linked with that Ajax goalkeeper, aren't we? Oh, no. What's my name? Oh, no. What's my name? I've heard that one a few times.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, you could say it's not like, look at me, I'm Sandra D. It's Sandra Lee. I like that. They're coming in.
Tell you what, this show is getting better, isn't it? Look at this.
It's on fire. It's absolutely on fire right now. Let's get. Oh no, now we're getting to Fast and the Furious and all sorts of stuff. We did a good job in January of getting rid of like the cancer in the dressing room. I said on the show that it's one of our best transfer windows ever, just because we were able to get rid of that. And then you saw the form table, I guess, in correlation to getting rid of that. I don't think you can argue with that in terms of the team spirit and how the team came together and everything, Dan. But at the same time, you know, you have to back that up in this transfer window. We do have a lot to get rid of as well, though, don't we? And Anik is talking about selling Oba, the story in the Telegraph about the fact that we're open to listening to offers for Aubameyang. It looks like we're more inclined to give Lacazette a year deal, Bellerin, and Willian. I think he overplayed them to the point where their market value has completely diminished. Talk to me about the balance of getting rid of players first before we can maybe bring them in, hence Kev's question about speeding up the business. But a lot of people in chat are saying, well, Kev, we might not be able to do that until we actually offload some of our crap.
No, 100%. We are going to have to sell before we buy, because two reasons. One, we're skint as a club. I think that's clear for everybody to know, unless Kroenke puts some money in. And we're in a pandemic. So not often I say this, but bar 4 or 5 players, and we all know who they are, the Smith Rowe, Sakas, Martinellis, Tierney's of this world, I would be amazed if we don't consider selling any of the other players. And that's the first season we've ever been able to say that, because you normally look at 11 or 12 and think, oh, that's our best crop of kind of first teamers. The others are the dead wood that we need to get rid of. I would suggest that there are some that would probably accept for Lacazette, Bellerin, Xhaka, Aubameyang even. If someone come in with 40 million, I think that they might consider that for a 32-year-old on ridiculous wages. David Luiz is obviously off. Willian looks like he's going. We're in a situation where we've got some loan players of what do we do? Do we keep Maitland-Niles? Do we take the money? What happens to Joe Willock? Do we keep the Guendouzi and give him another chance because he's only got a year left, or do we take money? Torreira likewise. There's a lot of players, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, that we all are so kind of unsure about. And majority of those players would probably pick up in the region of £20 million plus. So if you sell just 4 of them, that's enough to put in the first bid for Jack Grealish, isn't it? And those 4 players, by the way, weren't actually in the squad this season. Kolasinac, Torreira, Guendouzi, players coming back like Mavropanos, Reece Nelson didn't get a kick, Eddie Nketiah is nowhere near the side. That's your 7 players that you can sell there to make up your 1 player of Jack Grealish. And people say you got rid of 7, but you only got 1. We got rid of 7 that didn't get in the team last season. So we didn't need them. So those 7 are just wasted deadwood players. You get that 1 boost player from those 7 you've just got, and all of a sudden that then puts you into a top 4 challenge. Then you get a couple more and be wise with your recruitment. It puts you into a title challenge. That might be in a few windows' time, albeit. So that's the way we've got to do business, is do smart business. And Kev's absolutely right. We do need to sell some players, but what have we got? Quite a lot that are saleable and at good prices. Joe Willock would probably give us 20 million at least. Likewise, Maitland-Niles, because they're young English talent. Eddie Nketiah, if Ryan Brewster goes to Sheffield United for 27.5 million, we can get that for Eddie Nketiah because he's the under-21 record holder, and Brewster didn't do anything for the under-21s. So I look at the situation with some of those signings and think, yes, let's sell Granit Xhaka to Roma for 25 million, or whatever it's being touted at, because they ain't going to accept 15 million they weren't first in for, but we might be able to get 20 with add-ons after going and doing more appearances. Likewise for Bellerin, he would go to Spain or Italy. 100% he would, and play first-team football. So it's about being wise about who we can get money for. The Willians and the players like that, yeah, they need to go, but you're not going to get any more than 5 million for Willian, Kolasinac, players like that. So we need to be very wise about who we sell first. And then we go, do you know what? We've made 100 million out of those 12 players we've sold, whatever it be. Now we can put in a bid for Jack Grealish, because do you know what? He's going to come in and replace one of those players like Willock or Maitland-Niles, and the others we've just made money out of because we didn't need them and we did not use them at all last season. So that's how you get the Jack Grealishes in. So we don't have to be going up to Kroenke and saying, can you give us 400 million because we want to go and buy Jack Grealish and Haaland? That's not going to happen. We need to be realistic about it. What we can do, and I agree with Lee that Jack Grealish is realistic. The reason I said it was perhaps unrealistic is because I'm not so sure that we would have the money available to us. So that's how you get your money for Jack Grealish, is you be wise about player sales. And I think we have got enough players there, albeit have had poor seasons in parts, that other teams would be very interested in taking. So it's about being wise, Soph.
Yeah. Lee, does it concern you at all with regards to the homegrown quota as well? And, you know, how likely is it that we'll be able to offload, like, you know, Willock right now, high market value. And we have this terrible tendency to make those kinds of mistakes. And Dan's really right in the sense that, you know, when you think about Maitland-Niles, we could have sold him for what, 22 million to Wolves last summer, and we held on to him, and he had a terrible loan spell at West Brom. And is his market value the same? Whereas Willock, fantastic loan spell at Newcastle. Mavropanos, fantastic loan spell at Stuttgart.
Oh, I love the way you say it.
Dinos Mavropanos. I'll have a competition with Harry to see who has better Greek pronunciation one day.
It's not as good as Socrates Papafopoulos.
Socrates Papastadopoulos.
There we go.
Another one we gave away for nothing. And Lee, we got to be careful of that. Guendouzi, everyone was talking about him being a 25 million pound player a year ago, and he goes for tuppence. Torreira, diminished value. What's your concern about the assets that we supposedly have that could help generate these funds?
Look, our main assets are Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli. Between them, didn't cost no more than 5 million. Two come through the ranks, and the other one we paid like not that much money for. So the others, as far as I'm concerned, let's do it. At the end of the day, we're going to sell these players. We haven't got to have a massive squad this season, so we can afford to sell because we've got no Europe. So we can afford to go with a slightly smaller squad than what we had before. So we can get rid of a few players. I reckon we could say, like, we could go Guendouzi, Torreira. I don't think you're going to get Kolasinac off of it for nothing, but we'll say he can go as well. Like, we can lose Maitland-Niles and say Eddie and Joe Willock. That's 6 players that I've mentioned there, right? We could get 150 million saying for that, and we can buy 1 or 2 players and just lose 7 players and replace with 2. Upgrade a few youth players. I think it'd be fine. I really do, and that's why I say that it is definitely within our radar of getting these players. Now, what worries me, well, I don't worry me, but it worries other people. Oh, what happens if Joe Willock makes the grade? Oh, what happens if he does this? Well, if you lose say that you lose Nelson, Willock, and Maitland-Niles, and you replace that with Jack Grealish, I guarantee you no one will worry about them 3. Do you think I'll tell you what, David Bentley, by the way, was a fantastic player at Arsenal, right? Mm-hmm. But we let him go. No one was worried about that. Do you know why? Because we had Lundberg, Henry, who else? Bergkamp playing in his position. We didn't care. That's not that he wasn't a good player. He was a bloody good player, but ultimately we had players that we worried about. But can go on about Serge Gnabry. Everybody goes on about that because we've never ever got up to that standard. But I'm telling you what, I guarantee you, there was just as many really good youth players coming through the ranks. I go back to Kevin's day and Ian Wright. We had a certain Andy Cole in our ranks.
Yep.
Didn't really worry about. No one was doing much, even though he carried on to score goals after goals. No one really cared, Soph, because at the end of the day, we had Alan Smith, Kevin Campbell, and Ian Wright banging in goals.
It's a brilliant point. It really is, Lee.
Andy Cole. So if you've got the players in there, I guarantee you won't worry about these players. So if you sign Grealish and you sign Aouar and Basuma, you get him as well, no one's going to care about these players. Honestly, I'm telling you that now. And I'm going to say this now, if Aubameyang goes and you bring in somebody else that bangs in goals, you soon forget about them. Everybody said to me, oh, Van Persie's game, we're never better. We're losing Adebayor. What are we going to do? Van Persie come in, Adebayor. You know what I mean? And that's how football is. It's a ruthless game, but you've got to get the players in properly to do it,
No, it's a great point because we've always had such strong players that can come in. And you're right. When you talk about the players that you mentioned, you don't miss anybody. And that was our mantra. And now you see, teams like Chelsea do that, City do that, Liverpool do that, even Manchester United do that as well. And there's nothing to miss. Hi, Vinny Vieira. Did you hear your name, Vieira? There's nothing to miss about who you're going to miss. Tierney, Saka, Martinelli, Thomas Partey, Gabriel. There are only very few untouchable players. And the fact that 2 years ago, for the 2 years previous, Aubameyang was, the god at Arsenal because he saved us with his goals. Like you say, sports moves fast, football moves fast. It's about what have you done for me lately? It's instant gratification. And we can't afford to fall behind our competitors. Well, they used to be our competitors. Our new competitors are Wolves and Southampton and Aston Villa and these other teams. And now we're in a war to sign Buendia with Aston Villa, which is kind of crazy that we're kind of there fighting with teams like that. So no, you're absolutely right. You bring up a really good point about it's rinse repeat right now for Arsenal. There's 5 or 6 players that you would be sad to see go, but the rest replaceable. Right, here we go. Kev says part 2. Are you ready for this one?
Question number 2. Saka going to the Euros. Is it good or bad for the Arsenal? Question 2.
Better question.
Better question. I love how Lee's critiquing Super Kev's questions as well. So epic. Dan, let's kick this one off with you.
I think it's good. And a lot of people are going to say that's the wrong thing to say because, of course, he should be a player that we're resting and he shouldn't be anywhere near the side. And, this is not good for Bukayo Saka. Let's get one thing straight. Saka is class, right? The last few weeks of the season, Saka was not class because I feel that he was overplayed this season. But he is not going to be overplayed in the England squad. He's not. The attacking positions that England have got for them to choose from is too ridiculous. Mount, Foden, Grealish, Sancho, Sterling, Rashford, and Saka. He's probably the last one on the list in Gareth Southgate. We all know that Southgate's crazy with what he does. So I don't think he looks at Saka and says he's a 100% starter in every single game. So for me, I think it's a good thing because you've got to see what it does off the pitch for Bukayo Saka as well in terms of his confidence. He's surrounded himself with brilliant players. He's being told that he's as good as the players around him. He's got the experience of getting involved in a competition, in a tournament with his national team. And it is the biggest confidence, the biggest honour you can ask for to play for your country. I don't think we can win with the Arsenal fans sometimes because if Saka wouldn't have gone, they would have gone, oh my God, I can't believe Southgate's not picked Saka. That's a joke. Unbelievable season he's had. So what do they want, these fans? I would have been more than happy either way, but I actually like the fact he's gone because like the other night when he scored, it's going to do him the world of good. So I'm a huge fan of this and I actually believe what we will get out of this tournament could be a player like Saka who comes on and does a big part sort of performance and prove why he should be there. I think he could be the one that comes on and gives us something different because he can play in a ridiculous amount of positions. We've seen him play at left back, full back, wing back, centre mid, attacking mid, right back the other week against Chelsea, right wing, left wing. He could play anywhere. So I think it's a great option for him and a great opportunity. I don't think we're going to get him back to Arsenal and he'll be burnt out and won't be able to have to, 6 weeks need his rest until we see him. I really don't. I don't think he's going to play as much as people are saying. So I think it's a good move.
I'm not sure I agree with you. I actually think he's wormed his way into giving Southgate a bit of a headache. I really do. And when you saw the game the other day, he was the liveliest. I mean, we've seen his talent. And you're right, Dan, his form did dip later on in the season, and that is because he was exhausted. I like what OG Slim says here. I kept it up on screen for a bit. He's keeping our name alive in Europe. God bless him. And I think he'll shine in Europe, Lee. I don't know what you think. It's not good in the sense that he might not come back and be in the team until September-ish because he's going to need a rest, maybe late August, early September. What's your take? I think it's good for him, but not so great for the Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm with you now. I personally think that he'll play quite a bit. I think that Southgate will go with 3 at the back and play wing backs, and I think that Saka will get himself into that position. I think in more against, say if we're playing France or someone, he may decide to go defensive with a wing back, as like put in Chilwell or who's the other one? Shaw. But I think when we've got teams that we're expected to go at, I think that he'll play him in that position. So I think that he'll probably play more than what we think. And also, I don't think he's, I'm going to totally disagree with Dan there that he's at the bottom of the pecking order. I think, Sterling's been woeful towards the end of the season, and so bad. He's been so bad. He's been linked to Arsenal.
That's your Grease Lightning.
Yeah,
Do you think Southgate agrees? Do you think Southgate agrees with that? That was my point. I don't think Southgate sees him as ahead of Sterling.
Well, you know, I see our front three of Kane, Foden, and Grealish. That's the front three that I see. But and then I can't, and I think that Saka will get games as a wing back if he does. So listen, do I want him playing and all that? I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered. If he plays, he plays. If he don't, he don't. I'm in the camp of like I wanted him to go, but if he didn't get picked, I wouldn't have been going, Southgate and all that. Like I'd have said, you know, okay, like he gets some rest and it's an advantage to us, like, you know.
Yeah.
I think someone put it in the chat anyway, like if with Southgate in charge, we'll only be there a week and a half and we'll be home anyway. So
you know what? I think Scotland. I think Scotland will take a point off England. I think that people are really underestimating that.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a safety group. You know, I watched them the other day, and I wasn't impressed. I know you can go on certain things and all that. Like, I'm not too sure with Southgate. Listen, I'll be honest, right? Say if we lost, we as a club, or even like, you know, if there's Spurs fans out there, I've spoken to a few Spurs fans about this as well. Say, for instance, we do sack Arteta and they say we've lined up Gareth Southgate as our manager. We'd all be doing our nuts. No one really rates him. No one really wants him. So I'm hoping he has a fantastic Euros and that Levy sees it as a great, we're getting Gareth Southgate and that'd be fantastic. That's what I'm hoping. So keep it going, Gareth, and get yourself down to Spurs.
Let's hope so, because if they get Antonio Conte, I might vomit. Literally.
I'm done. I'm done.
I will. I mean, Dan and I we had that show, didn't we, with Harry and you and Tom, when we were talking about who we would love, and a lot of us were like, wow, getting Antonio Conte would be great. If Antonio Conte goes over there, there's going to be trouble.
He's really unrealistic to come to Arsenal, but he can go to Tottenham.
Exactly. It'd be great to see Tierney versus Saka in that England-Scotland game. It'd be so much fun to see them both flying the flag for the Arsenal. Yeah, so that would be good. And generally, I think a lot of the people in chat are happy for Saka to be going for the experience. And let's not compare it, guys, because I've seen quite a few people compare it to, not in this chat tonight, but around and about, Theo Walcott going to the World Cup when Sven-Göran Eriksson called him up. Totally different scenario. Totally Walcott different. Never on the level of Saka at all. Saka could actually play and have an impact. And, you know, we've got to be careful, because if we're garbage this season and we don't get back into Europe, this is where I start to worry about holding on to Saka. And we were saying with Kev last night, lads, when he's hanging out with Grealish and Foden and Mount, and he's watching all of his, you know, international teammates win stuff, this is where the worry really kicks in as well. So, yeah. Right. Here we go. Part 3. Kev summarizes this a little bit too, but with his first 2 questions. But here's his third question.
And question 3 is, want and reality are so different. What's a realistic want or wants for the Arsenal fans? That's the bonus. Okay, so that was question 3. So I'll recap. The Arsenal haven't made any moves just yet. Do we need to get a move on? Saka going to the Euros, is it good or bad for the Arsenal? And number 3, want and reality are so different. What's a realistic want or wants for the Arsenal fans? I might not see you, but Sophie and the gang will deal with you in chat. Look after yourselves. Take care. This is Kev Says Part 30. And my summary will be kind of at the end. Take care, everyone. And I hope you're enjoying the break. Bye.
One of my favorite things is when he gets to his third question and he says, I'll be dealing with you all in chat. So now we've got the governor and Potsy here to be dealing with everyone. So you guys are the muscle tonight. And it's a really good question, because we had a Dreamers versus Realists show. And, you know, a lot of us fans are dreamers because we come from a culture and a DNA of a club where we've seen our team do improbable things, including going invincible. But it's so long ago, Dan, in terms of when we were that team in the Premier League. The FA Cups have been a nice, they've put Band-Aids over the cracks, haven't they? And unfortunately, in a sense, that may have hurt us too. What's your take on Kev's question here? Because we want to have the Grealishes of the world, but the reality is?
Well, it's an interesting question in terms of what's realistic and what's unrealistic, because I have the opinion, unlike the majority of the fan base, that being ambitious there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. And there's a lot of the Arsenal fan base, I feel, have accepted mediocrity and are so quick to say that everything's unrealistic. Jack Grealish, unrealistic. Why would he leave Aston Villa to come to Arsenal? Just think about what that sentence just was, yeah? And then answer it, because it's quite simple. Aston Villa are nowhere near the club that Arsenal were. Yeah, they had a great season, by the way. And they didn't even finish in the top half in the end of it. So that's where Jack Grealish is right now. So I look at the situation at being unrealistic, and sometimes I think it's OTT. Only 2 weeks ago, everybody was laughing when I wanted Diego Simeone or Antonio Conte. Oh, we'll never get one of them. Well, one of them's nearly going around the corner. So how unrealistic is it to suggest that we should be getting Antonio Conte ahead of Mikel Arteta? That's a want for me. But the reason it's unrealistic is because of this owner. And that's what everybody on this podcast, panel, chat will realize. They'll go back to it and say the reason it's unrealistic is because an owner that does not care. That is the only thing that's unrealistic. We've got the club. We've got the global fan base. We've got the history. We're in London. We're one of the biggest clubs in London, if not the biggest. So I'm looking at the situation thinking, why is everything so unrealistic? To want a top manager who's won stuff with experience, to want a coaching staff that has an understanding of how to get the best out of these players, work with the manager, to have a fan base that can unite, to have a board that is full of Arsenal men, to have an owner with ambition. Yeah, they're all unrealistic wants and you can't all have it in one go. But that's where I think we are as a club. We need to start again. So what do I want and what's realistic? What I would love is to have ambition. That's the easiest way to sum it up. Have ambition and go for it. Put in a bid for Jack Grealish. They might laugh it off, but do it. Have the ambition. Go for the very top. Yeah? And then if you only get the third signing that you wanted, at least you went for the second and first. Don't just go, not realistic to get Jack Grealish, we're going to have to get Buendia. Go for Jack Grealish. If it becomes unrealistic, you've got the money to go and get Buendia. I'd love to see ambition, whether it's from the ownership, whether it's from the board, whether it's from the manager, or if it's the telepathy between all three of them, to have an understanding of where they want to take Arsenal Football Club. Because we want to start again, which means one thing. We can either start again with new people, or we can literally rip it up and start again with this current regime, which I think is the more realistic option. I really do not see them leaving. I don't see Arteta going. I don't see Edu going. And I certainly don't see the Kroenkes selling up. So we're stuck with these clowns, right? All of them. They're all novices. They don't know what they're doing. So they've got to prove to us that they have ambition to want to get Arsenal from here right back up there. And if they have to do it in one go, amazing. If they can't, it needs to be this. So to have a realistic ambition of where we can be finishing, the only way we're going to do that is see what squad we've got. So people can say, what's our ambition for next season? I don't know yet. We haven't got the squad. At the moment, it's 8th place. That's where we are, apparently, as a club. So with a manager and a team. So what we need to do is how can we get to 6th? How can we get to 5th? And how can we get to top 4? And by doing that, it's by looking at the ambitious signings that I think we need to take us to that level.
Completely agree with you. And Lee, we keep talking about, it's a great question from Kev, because when you look at the manager, you look at the players, but then you look at what's going on in the periphery and then also in the guts of the club, the nucleus, the people making the decisions, the scouting, the signing the players, the contracts, everything. I believe that one of our most important signings, if we can get Luis Campos at Arsenal, you know, Kev was saying last night, he's going to want, you know, tons of money. And I don't agree with that, because if you look at who won the league in France outside of PSG over the last 10 years, it was Lille and Monaco. And he was at the heart of the recruitment there and bringing in players. And yes, they unearthed players that were younger and then they became stars. But he's also very smart in terms of how he does things. So I think for me, that's like the crux of it. Because when you look at the bullshit contracts we gave to Kolasinac and Mustafi and Socrates and all these players, just garbage. So the decision making needs to be better. What's your take on all of this? Because in order for us to really kind of rebuild, we've got to have the right people making better decisions.
Yeah, and I think, look, listen, it's a little bit of a myth. We've talked about this today. You know, the Kroenkes have only been in charge really of the club for the last 2 years, where they've had sole control.
Correct.
They've spent some money. They've spent some money, and somewhere along the line, they've spent some good money, you know, and wise money on, you know, we get to see the best of Partey, but like, you know, all things like if he gets a nice rest and a good summer and comes back, he should be better. Get a good partner alongside him. I think Gabriel will get better. You know, we've brought in the likes of Smith Rowe and Saka being like unearthed, if you like. So there are, you know, Tierney's come, and we've got Martinelli. We've done okay on the transfers, but it's not been enough. Now I look at it and you think to yourself, right, what's realistic? Well, let's be honest. Let's take Manchester City and Chelsea. Manchester City will spend 200 million this season, and probably in the summer. Chelsea 150 million, say, right? Only one of them, so, is going to win the league. Only one of them. So one of them's going to foul, you know. So when you ask Arsenal, what's the realistic chances? You know, it's very, very unrealistic to even think that we're going to win the league. But what I would like to think from a realistic Arsenal point of view is have a bloody good go at it. See if you can win it. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like if you're going to aim for, it's like on a dartboard, isn't it? If you're going to aim for the double top or treble, let's say treble 20, you ain't going to be aiming at the treble 3, are you? You're going to be trying to get as high as you can up to that dartboard, pump as you can go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and if you hit the treble 20, then fantastic. But if you hit 20 or 20, you ain't doing too bad. But what we're doing is we're loaning our experience. Oh, well, let's try and get to 4th. Well, if you get to 4th, you could end up 5th or 6th. Well, why don't you try and aim for it? And you never know what can happen if you really go for it. Anything can happen to what happened to Liverpool this season. No one expected Liverpool to have as many injuries as they've had and whatever, like, you know. So it could be my realistic thing is have a punt at it, go for it. I honestly don't think that we could win the league, but I do feel like as a football club, Arsenal should be challenging for it. You know, and when I look at it this season, domestically, we haven't challenged for anything. We didn't challenge for the league, we didn't challenge for the FA Cup, and we didn't challenge for the League Cup. So basically, what do we challenge for? You know, so for me, you know, the ambition of the whole club has got to change, and that's what I want. My realistic thing is for the whole club to change its outlook and change its DNA. I'm fed up with seeing Arsenal being top of the league in selling tracksuits and football kits. I don't want to see that. I want to see them top of the league because they're having a go at it in football. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win the league, but I want us to show the mentality that we've worked. Now, you can criticise Manchester United as much as you like, right? They're not hitting the heights of they used to be, but they're having a bloody good go at it. Like, you know what I mean? They're spending money, they try. You know, if the manager's not working, they go for it, like, you know. And as much as I don't like them down the road, they have a go. You know what I mean? They're in for Conte. You know what I mean? Like, they're in for Pochettino. They're not in for who should I say? Like, you know, a player, a manager that's inexperienced and not
Scott Parker. They were linked with Scott Parker, who's just a Mikel Arteta, really. I mean, he's
Scott Parker, like, you know what I mean, or who's assistant manager at Man City now? Why don't they go for him? Because he's been picking up the cones and learning a bit of experience in the depth. You know what I mean? Like, what? But no, they're going for targets. That Dan's right, what he's saying there. That 2 weeks ago. Well, we're never going to. We've got Arteta. We can't sack Arteta because we can't get no one over it. Now, that is rubbish. Rubbish. Because, for instance, right, yeah, Conte's left Inter Milan because they haven't got the money. Could end up going to Spurs. I don't think he will, because I think what he's doing is he's saying, if I don't have the money, I ain't going to have it. But also, you know, we can't get Allegri, can't get him. He wants Champions League football. He's gone back to Juventus with no Champions League football. So don't tell me you can't do these things. So it's just about having the ambition. If you say to a manager, I'm going to bring in this, I'm going to do that. Arsenal, we've got some youngsters and we're going to be this and we're going to bring all these youngsters through and do an Ajax and things like that. Some of these players might think, do you know what, I want to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. If you go in there talking about and going, well, I tell you what, like, you won't win anything here, but I tell you what, you're playing 6 new tracksuits and 4 new kits. It's bloody, you know, the best kits in the world. You know, that ain't going to entice you. You've got to push players, and I don't think we push anybody, like, you know what I mean, things like that, like, you know.
I totally agree. And, you know, we talk about DNA and culture. We lost that when we moved to the Emirates. It's become Arsenal 2.0. You know, that DNA and culture is dead, and we're trying to rebuild that and reignite that. And it's been a struggle. And, you know, for the sake, and this isn't a show to kind of, you know, someone wrote and said, oh, you guys just going to bash Arteta. Just stop it. Okay. We had our worst season in the Premier League. He broke all of our good records for the wrong reasons. And we're out of Europe for the first time in 5 years. Let's not talk about the process. Let's talk about what happened now. And you can say whatever you want about Chelsea's managerial revolving door, guys, but it's yielded success after success after success. I would take that. I'm sorry. It's about winning, right? And even in the FA Cup this year, he gave that up. Strategically, he messed up how he managed the season. He put all his eggs thinking he could finish thinking he could finish 4th basket, and it never came to fruition. And even to the very end, he kept his arrogance. The same thing that worries me, you guys, with Pep and how he managed the semi-final in the Champions League last year and how he managed the final in the Champions League this year. He's got that arrogance. He's learned it from Pep Guardiola. You know, why are you screwing up with what has been great for you this entire season, Pep Guardiola? You don't play with Fernandinho, or you don't play with Rodri. Chelsea punished you. And then look what Abramovich does. He sacks the legendary Frank Lampard. Arteta's not even a legendary player at Arsenal. He's not. He was a lovely captain and a nice player for a number of years. He's not Vieira. He's not Adams. He's not Henry. He's not Bergkamp. He's not Pires. He's not Parla. He's none of those guys. And the pass that he gets is unbelievable to me. You can't criticize him. But look where we're at. And then Chelsea bring in Tuchel or Tuchel. And look what's happened. They get to an FA Cup final. Fine, they lose it. They still got there. They beat Manchester City in the Champions League final. Nobody gave him a chance. He made that happen. And yeah, you could argue they have better talent than us, of course, but he still had to manage that talent. And that's what worries me, guys, is that he's got a bit of that Pep arrogant chip, you know, and we saw it in the Europa League semi-final twice against Unai Emery. Say what you want about Unai Emery. He won a 4th Europa League. And I just think those things are red flags and they're massive concerns. And unfortunately, you know, that's something that hopefully he'll learn from and we can grow from it. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that this season.
I've got a different theory on it now. I've become very positive. Right. If you have a look at Manchester City,
is that because you watched Greece last night? And
no, hear me out on this, right?
Okay.
Manchester City, right? Yeah. A few seasons ago, kept playing away without, and he didn't have the fullbacks to do the job. But they carried on playing that way, playing that way, going through. And then what happened was the following season, he got the fullbacks. And the fullbacks then just come in there. But all the other players in and around that system were playing the way that it was meant to be. So they was used to playing it. Now, has Mikel done that so that next season when he gets the right players in, all the players still in there know exactly what they're doing?
Well, you know what? Here's the scoop. And one of the reasons why I've said he deserves this transfer window, because Turnkey needs to have his own squad, right? So he needs to get rid of some of the players and build a team in his image. And I've said it ad nauseum on this show. Really good managers build a team in their image and their personality. Conte's done it now with Juventus, Chelsea, Inter Milan. Diego Simeone, Dan says it all the time, Atletico Madrid. Klopp's done it with Dortmund and Liverpool. Pep's done it with Barcelona, Bayern, and Manchester City. So hopefully he's able to do that. If by October or November we're in the same situation, he's got to go. I mean, there's just no two ways about it.
I agree, but we had a conversation about this yesterday. Everybody was going on about Ancelotti, really. But did he have a successful season at Everton?
No, he was a disaster.
I think he was, but no one was talking about sacking him. And he was this man with experience. And what it comes down to, Sophie, and I'm not sticking up for Arteta in any shape or form. You're only as good as your players to a certain degree. And Ancelotti, with the players he had, as good as he is or whatever, he couldn't make them into what they were. Now, another thing is Steve Bruce. Look at Steve Bruce at Newcastle, struggling like anything. But when he got his players back that were fit and all that, they won a few games and all that. Why? Not because Steve Bruce has turned into this magnificent tactician and whatever. He's got his players back. He's got players that can play a bit for him. I'm not saying he's going to go on and win it, but you know what I mean? From bottom two, he picks up to halfway at the table because it's down to players. And this is what I'm saying. You've still got to have good players. And I think that Arteta hasn't got good players, I'll be honest. But the counter argument there, he has got some good players. He doesn't play, you know what I mean? So you can argue about it to and fro. But I do believe that Arteta hasn't got the players that he needs. So he's disposable. And if he gets them in the summer, let's see what happens.
But how many points did we end up finishing above Newcastle? Newcastle, Dan, were almost in the championship. And somehow, some way, Steve Bruce was able to bring that team back up. And Kev always says it's the players. And Joe Willock, somehow he got the best out of him.
Yeah.
Right?
Someone's got a new coach as well. I think that's another thing. I think our backroom staff is not very good.
I completely agree with that. I think he needs a little bit more gusto around him, Dan.
I agree with that entirely. I don't understand what the coaching staff are doing. What I will say, Carlo Ancelotti, I don't think had a terrible shocker, as people are saying. And the reason is because I'd probably take about 3 of their players in this current Arsenal side. And this is a poor Arsenal side, everyone keeps saying. So why is it? Oh, by the way, I did never want Mourinho at the club, by the way. I'm not going to try and say the name.
Kenny,
So I don't know where that's come from. I've never said I wanted Mourinho. Jesus. Okay, so I look at the situation with Carlo Ancelotti. He's a proven, experienced manager. So that's why I wanted somebody like him. And you say, he hasn't done a great job at Everton. I'm not so sure what he would have done at Arsenal. Who knows? But I know that there was a flip side to that with Dean Smith and David Moyes getting the best out of what I think is an average couple of sides.
Totally.
So you look at the situation and you do say it is both. But I do not think, and I stand by this, that Arsenal should have been floating around 15th, 12th or 10th for the majority of the season with this squad. So 8th is a disaster, of course. But still, whether people think that's a realistic finish or not, this current Arsenal side should be nowhere near the bottom half of the table. And at 6th or 7th this season, I'd have still been frustrated. So by people saying we were only a few points off of the top 6 or top 4 or whatever you want to say, I still would have been disappointed with 6th or 7th. My realistic opinion was we'd be very, very close to the top 4 this season, but we'd probably just miss out and come 5th. And that's what I honestly thought was going to happen after the FA Cup, because I saw the signings of Thomas Partey, Gabriel, and I thought to myself, do you know what? We have got a much better side than people give us credit for. We've got Pepe, 72 million. Lacazette, 55 million. Aubameyang, 60 million. People think they're poor, do they? Because they're not. Thomas Partey is a very, very good midfielder. Granit Xhaka is apparently an amazing player. So why are we slugging him? Why are we slating the players who has an amazing centre midfielder is Granit Xhaka? I don't think he is, but all the fans keep thinking he is. So he can't be that bad if everyone keeps absolutely loving the dude. So why are we in the bottom 8 then? And then you look at the situation at the back and think, what an improvement. This manager is amazing at defending. Why are we 8th then? So that's why I look at it. And I think the manager is nowhere near as good enough for this football club. And unfortunately, it's nothing against Arteta. What I look at it is this manager is just not ready yet. He might be great in 5 years' time. I don't know. He might improve next season. I might look and think, wow, he's improved. He's learned quick on that because he's definitely improved that now. He's realised with 5 games to go that if you play Pepe instead of Willian, you score
It's a good
goals.
idea.
And when you play Martinelli, he puts in good crosses for Aubameyang, and he also gets on the back of the net against Palace. So he's learned that, maybe too late, but he's learned it. But he will continue to learn because he's learning on the job. And that was always my issue with him. There is so many mistakes we're going to see next season as well that he's going to learn the next season. I've been waiting 16 years, Soph. I love the 4 FA Cups that we won. I would take nothing away from them. But I'd take Liverpool's 2 years of the last 2, or not this season just gone, but the last 2 that they've had, over the last 16 of years of crap that we've had at the Emirates. Because they've got to 4 Champions League finals and won 2 of them. And they've been in turmoil for 30 years to win the Premier League? Mm-hmm. I would take that any day of the week in the last 3 seasons than the crap that we've had to deal with at the Emirates over the years. 100%. So it needs to change.
I agree with you. And you know what, guys? Sometimes you mistake being realistic with negativity. It's not being negative. It's being a realist. This is what's happening at our club. We've not been great we haven't won the Premier League for 17 years. And I can hear one of you coming at me and saying, well, Liverpool didn't win it for 30. They went to a Champions League final and won the Champions League twice, right? Yes, under Klopp, but they won the Champions League in their barren years. They won FA Cups and League Cups as well. And barring a slip, they would have won the Premier League with Brendan Rodgers. The point is that it's a realistic look at what's happening. We've been garbage in the Premier League for 17 years almost. It's amazing what Wenger did getting us into the Champions League with players like Shamak and Gervinho, right? So take a deep breath and sit back and have a look at the evidence. It's there for everybody to see. And unfortunately,
toxic positivity, mate. Toxic positivity.
It's like we're positive in hope, but we're also realist when we're looking at where we've been. And hopefully we're going somewhere different to where we've been, because no one wants to sit at this table any longer either. Let's get Kev's summary before he has one final question, and then we have an announcement to make. Here we go.
Right. Part 1, the Arsenal haven't made any moves. Yeah, I do think Arsenal need to get a move on. Me personally, I think the quicker fans can see the club making moves and getting bodies in, I think the better. It shows an urgency. It shows decisiveness, which Arsenal haven't really been over the years. And it shows a want to get things right, or to improve things at least. So I think Arsenal do need to get a move on. That was question 1. Question 2, Saka going to the Euros. Is it good or bad for Arsenal? I think it's really good for Bukayo Saka, but I think it could be bad for Arsenal. And the reason why is because of what we've seen this season. Now, I'm hoping things change and better players come in, etc., so we won't need to rely on him. But we've relied on the young man so much this season that he's going to need an extended break, because he's going to need a rest after the Euros, etc. So, and the season's going to be broken up for him. So, it could turn out, I'm not saying it is, it could turn out good for him and bad for the Arsenal. And the want and reality are so different. What's a realistic want for the Arsenal fans? Well, as a fan myself, a realistic want is I want Arsenal to go and get a marquee name. I really want the club and the ownership to go and get a marquee name. Whoever that may be, whether it's Grealish, that would be great. A lot of money. I totally understand that. Is that realistic? Probably not. I'd like to see the engine room get fixed. I think Basuma is a really important one and a realistic one who we could get and we should get. So once you start fixing the engine room, I think that's going to be really important. It'd be interesting to find out who you guys think as well. So anyway, that's my summary. Obviously, there's a lot of wants, but a lot of them are not realistic. So don't let me have to deal with you guys in another show and come back for you, right? Rock the neck on you. Look after yourselves and take good care. Kev says 30.
Thank you, Super Kev. I tell you, he'd be breaking necks in chat tonight. Good evening to all 400 of you watching live. Hit that like button if you hate Tottenham. Hit that like button if you hate me, Lee, or Dan. We don't care. Just hit the like button. And we all miss Kev. We love Kev. But he's here in spirit. I mean, you guys saying you're missing him. He's been on the bloody show all night. You've heard from him 4 times, and you're about to hear from him again because he has a little surprise question for the lads. Here we go.
Sophie, Kev says, number 30, part 30. This is a question for Lee and Dan. I want them to, if they had one choice of a franchise player, a main player, who would you choose? Who would you? You've got one pick, and you've got 60 million to spend. 60 million. One choice of a top player to get in. Who would you choose? All right, guys. Listen, enjoy Kev Says and looking out for me. All the very best. Cheers. Bye.
I think they've done a fabulous job deputising for the legend that is Super Kevin Campbell this evening. Hey, we've even given you dreamer stuff. We've given you realist stuff as well. What is your answer, Lee?
Well, he's stitched us up again there, isn't he? Like that.
He's stitched you up the whole show.
Well.
Yes,
Well
you can have your 3 marquee sign and then 60 million. Well, you know, I mean, what's that about?
Mate,
I think he's got some of the squaddies in on this as well.
Who can you get for 60 million as a dream signing?
I know, it's hard, isn't it?
Everyone thinks he's either in Aruba, Egypt, hilarious, or West London, hilarious.
I thought he was going to turn around and give a right look. That girl who's still talking in the background, the way he kept
ordering a draft
to me. Thought he was going to do karaoke for a second. Well, look, listen. Let's forget about his 60 million price tag because when he said that, it all went a bit fuzzy as far as I'm concerned. I didn't quite hear what he said, but I mean, dream signing, Jack Grealish, that would be it for me. Get it done. Do you know why? Because most teams, most clubs in this country would go for him. We need something like that player to make us excitable again. And for me, that is it. Jack Grealish.
Dan?
I'm with Lee, 100%. I'd be my number one. If we're talking about unrealistic signings, then obviously we'd look at Haaland. But if you're taking a 60 million, then it's not going to be realistic. I don't think I'm asked to at all, even if we stumped up the money. So I look at the situation and say that it is 100% Jack Grealish. The other lad that I was going to talk about is Houssem, because I really like this dude. And I think that he is the one that I really wanted last season. I put my neck on the line and said we'd signed him because I was told reliably that we had. And of course, the Lyon president decided last minute, no, you're not going to have him. I know for a fact they're struggling in France. And I know for a fact that he would come to Arsenal for between 25 and 30 million. So get it done. He is going to be top draw. I love everything about this lad. He has had a very strange season at Lyon, but hasn't many players had strange seasons. Let's see what this guy's all about. I saw him against Man City with Lyon, and he blew me away. It was like watching Cesc Fabregas all over again. It was outstanding. And I had so many people that don't support Arsenal saying to me, if you get Houssem and Thomas Partey, you'll get top 4. And we didn't get Houssem, and unfortunately we had a manager who was never going to get us in the top 4, no matter who we had. But that's how highly people rated this guy. I think he would be great. If Jack Grealish is not realistic, like people keep telling me, then Emi Buendia, Bissouma and Houssem are all realistic because they're playing for Norwich, Brighton and Lyon. So get them free if you can't get Jack Grealish. That's what I say.
All right. Okay, good answers. What would you guys say if I took my 60 million and I would love Arsenal to do something Cavani, Zlatan, Thiago Silva-esque player that seems to be in the twilight of his career and a lot of people think he's done, but still has a lot to offer. 2 players come to mind for me. I would love Sergio Ramos in our defense. I would love his I would love his shithousery. I would love the fact that if he doesn't play for you, you hate him. We don't have enough players like that. Tierney's the only one. Tierney's clever with his shithousery. Still comes. He's like a teddy bear with a shotgun, Tierney, right? Whereas Ramos just puts it all out there. He's a dick on the pitch. But if he's your dick, you love him, right? That came out a little bit funny. But you guys know what I mean, right? The other player, and these are players that have won everything. They've got nothing to lose. Be the hero. Come to Arsenal. Get us back into Europe. Do whatever. Is Cristiano Ronaldo. I would right the wrong that Wenger did years and years ago. Why not? I mean, he probably wants another shot at the Champions League. He probably wants another shot in Europe, right? But if we're talking about dreams, like Kevin said, don't go crazy, everybody. I would give that to him as 1 year's salary. Come to Arsenal. The dude is a beast. He still has a lot to offer. If you could split the 60 and give 30 to Ramos and 30 to Ronaldo, whew, get Basuma in midfield. All right. Get that number 10. Gold. We're not making top 4? I think we're making top 4. How about them apples?
I'd love it, mate. I'd love it. I've always said about these has-been players, haven't I? But when they're Ramos and Ronaldo, even if it was an Aguero, you look at that and that's more tempting than the Willians and the stupid Kim Kalstroms of the past, yeah? So I look at that and I think, wow. But being realistic, I honestly believe Buendia and Basuma are realistic and they would improve our side. They're not marquee signings, but they would take us forward, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, listen, I want to thank these lads for hanging out this evening, but Vespa's excited. She wants to know what's going on with you, Lee, because you made an announcement this week, which is pretty big news. And I think we're the first podcast to have you on as a guest since you've announced it. Why don't you share with the gang what's happening?
Yeah, I'm bringing out my own show. So it's called Lee Judges TV. And I'm delighted to say that you're going to be a part of it. You've agreed to be a part of it. So's Kevin. I'm negotiating with Potsy about something. He wants 2 halves of lager and a pack of crisps, and I'm not prepared to pay the crisps. You know what I mean? So we're sorting that out. So we're going to do all sorts of things on it. It's not just going to be about the Arsenal. Obviously, it'd be Arsenal based, but we're going to do a Premier League show where we talk about the Premier League and things like that. We're also going to do, which I know you're going to be a part of it, like the girls' night in, where we're going to have just all girls on there in Less Than. And I've seen Kevin wearing a wig, so like they might be able to get on that show. I don't know, but we'll see. So we're going to try and do it with some girls. So if any girls want to come on and just follow us on Instagram or Twitter, and we can sort that out. And we're going to do some things like some filming outside doing some. We've got a few things lined up, like one we're thinking about doing now is that me and Dan are going to. I haven't told Dan this. Maybe taking on a fast bowler at cricket and seeing how we get on and things like that. Just sort of silly things like that that we're doing, and I'm going to do some watch-alongs for the Euros and things like that. We've obviously got to get it all sorted out at this moment in time, but that's the sort of things that we'll be doing. Fantastic that you're coming on board. Obviously, Kevin's going to come on board as well. So. Yeah, so looking forward to it. So and just doing some different things, and a little bit of seriousness, but also I like to have a little bit of fun as well. So we'll have a laugh and a joke along the way. So if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. If you do subscribe, there will be a little prize at the end of it as well. We'll be picking out some randoms for some prizes as well, and. I've got a little sponsor as well that I've got to announce in the next few days as well. So it's all going well. So, but it ain't as easy as to set up and looking at what you do here. You do a fantastic job on here. So it's not easy. And I found out that myself, So me and my gravel, we will travel. there you go, like, you know what I mean? So.
I love it, and we wish you all the very best. It's about
Thank
time.
you.
It's about time. Lee Judges TV. Follow Lee and his new show on all the platforms at Lee Judges TV. It's going to be epic for next season. Are you still going to be doing your stuff that you're doing now too? The shows that you're on now?
Yeah, I've committed to Craig with the same old Arsenal, because I wouldn't stop doing it. I absolutely love doing that, like, you know. So I'm going to be still doing the same old Arsenal. I'm still going to be doing the lounge. We're going to have a chat about what day we're going to be doing that, but I'm still going to be doing that. So yeah,
very cool.
But ultimately, I'm going to be putting a lot of energy into doing it myself now, and getting these guys that I've been jumping on their podcast for the last few years, and they're going to be jumping onto mine now, and it's payback time.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. And Dan, you'll still be hosting the team talk on Same Old Arsenal?
Yeah, so stay Same Old Arsenal, Mondays and Fridays. So yeah, that will be good. I'm glad, pleased for Lee as well, because you know, he should have done this years ago, to be honest. Now he can. I mean, listen, he won't mind me saying he's not the best technically at times. Bless him. You know, you can just about work a toaster and a kettle, but now he's got to try and run a channel. So you know, we'll see what happens. But no, it's going to be top drawer. I do think it will get big, and I think it will be a one that I'll enjoy. I'll enjoy watching. So yeah, please go over and subscribe to Lee and show support and help the channel grow. Cheers for having us on, Soph.
No, thank you guys, and I'm grateful and honored that Lee, you asked me to come on your channel and host a female-driven show for you. I can't wait to do that. And I'm looking forward to having you guys back on the Highbury squad next season as well. Dan is going to be one of our fan ambassadors as well next season too. He's going to have a segment. We're going to be doing some fun, get off the potsy type of stuff, because we know we love Dan. Yeah, get off the potsy.
Well, no one's got on potsy for a long while, but that's another story.
Mate. That's what he thinks.
You're busy doing podcasts, you are, I'll tell you.
Oh no, really, really, really good stuff, and we wish you all the very best, and you deserve it. You're a beloved figure in the Arsenal community, and you're a good human being, and so we wish you all the very best.
Thanks, Soph. Cheers. Thanks.
Yeah.
He's a lovely man. He's a lovely man.
man.
Can I tell more story about Kevin now?
Yes. You
Right,
take us out on this story. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Go ahead. Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
so obviously I've gone up to Manchester last week, and we've met up with Kevin, and so we said, right, well, let's go out for a couple of beers, like, you know, and so we've gone out for a couple of beers. Nice sunny day and everything there. We can't get a table for love or money. Everywhere we're going, there's no tables. Can't get anywhere, like, you know, and you know, nah, sorry, I ain't got a table. So we're standing there, and all of a sudden, this security bloke comes over and says, "Oh, hello, Kevin. Oh, really nice to meet you. You know what I mean? Blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm not really nice to meet you." So Kevin goes, "Yeah, very nice to meet you. Like, big fan and everything like that." So Kevin goes, "You don't know if you can get us a table, can you?" So he did. So it's always good going out with the Campbell, you know what I mean? Like, we got a table, like, oh, you know what I mean? So it was worth going up there just for that, like. So you know,
Brilliant.
Yeah, we managed to sneak a table on Kevin's past glory, should I say? Like.
Absolutely love it. He's I can imagine I you know, it's fun. It's always fun, and he's fun, and he's so good, isn't he, with people when he's out and about and stuff like that too. He says hello to everyone, and he's talk about
great guy. He's an absolute, you know, like, it's a privilege going out with him and having a beer with him, and spending the weekend, like, just chatting away and all that. We had a real good laugh. But I'll tell you, like, you know, very, very fortunate to be able to get in his company, and he's fantastic. He's such a laugh, you know what I mean? And he's very generous as well.
He's
how many half pints did he treat you to, Chad?
Yeah. Listen. I got around him. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, Jesus.
well, look. When are you launching? This month?
So we're looking to launch
Okay.
this month. We've got to sit down and have a chat about everything. It's just getting everything together and all that. Like I've got a meeting on Sunday when we're going to be sort of talking about the launch date and everything like that and what we're going to be doing. But we're looking at maybe launching it for one of the Euro games and or even like just looking at that, and then obviously with the track, hopefully when Jack Grealish on, wouldn't it be a great day to launch when Greg, we're in that with Robert Green. But anyway, that's another story. But we'll see how it goes.
Oh man, okay, epic stuff. Thank you so much for joining me this evening and helping me present Kevin Says. Kevin will be back obviously at Squad Central next week, you guys, and look forward to that. And I'm looking forward to talking more football with you guys throughout the summer and next season, of course. So really appreciate you both coming on.
No, I loved it. We'll have to keep our heads down from Kevin for a few days, but we'll be able to manage that after.
Yeah, definitely. And don't you guys forget, usually someone takes us out here. It's usually Kevin with his fists and stuff like that. So I'm just going to do it tonight. Big up the Gunners. Get in!